Hi, Alyson Stanfield with Art Biz Success, and I'm here with another episode of the Art Biz. In this episode, I talk with artist Julie deBoer, who is the founder of the online mentoring platform Mastrius. Well, we do talk about Mastrius in the second half because it's very interesting and helpful to a lot of artists. I really wanted to talk with Julie about how she found her style. Artists starting out especially struggle with finding their style, and there's a lot of pressure to find your own voice so that your work doesn't look like your teachers. So we talk about that because she was resisting her style. She wasn't liking what was coming out of her hands. And with the help of mentoring, she learned to embrace it. So we talk about that. We talk about the challenges of working with galleries and why she's transitioning to individual or solo sales. And we talk about the value of community in the artist's journey because it's something that both of us deeply believe in. Here's my conversation with Julie deBoer. Hi, Julie. Welcome to the Art Biz.
Thanks, Alyson. Good to see you.
Great to meet you. I'm glad you're here. The homepage of your website says the song and dance of creation, painted in melodic and lyrical flow. There's a lot to unpack there, but it's really related to one of the things that you thought we might talk about, and that is artistic style. Describe your style and how you found it.
Great question. My style was hard won, and I fought it for years. It always came out of me very smooth and flowing, and it was actually not what I wanted when I started painting. I preferred art that was a little bit more chunky and textured, but every time I tackled the canvas, it came out smooth and flowing. And so for a couple of years, I actually resisted how it was naturally in me, to much frustration. And eventually I gave up and decided I would just let it come out the way it was naturally coming out and see what happens. And I'm glad that I did, but it hasn't been a journey without bumps in the road. It wasn't until, honestly, I never really liked my style. I've been painting for about 14 years, and it's just in the last few years that I've come to appreciate it and enjoy it. It was a couple years ago that one of my mentors said, Julie, why is your style so unique? And why does it flow like that? It's very melodic. And she used this beautiful word. And I said, actually, I don't know. It's just the way it comes out of me. I actually don't really like it. And she said, oh my gosh, Julie, we need to figure this out. There's a reason why it's coming out that way. Did you know that? And I didn't. So she put me through a process of discovering by going back even as far as my childhood to what I loved, what I did in my spare time, my hobbies, even what I was drawing as a kid, and look at my whole journey as a young to mature artist. And what I discovered remembered was when I was a kid, I used to dance and sing all around the house, the yard. I was a dancing and singing little girl, but I never got to pursue it. We lived on a farm. We didn't have a lot of money, all that. So I buried it away, tucked it away. And that's what came out of me when I started painting, was the melodic, the lyrical parts of dance and song that I had been so passionate about as a kid. So when I discovered that, that was just such a beautiful eye opener for me to understand the why behind my work. And now to be able to verbalize it and pursue it intentionally and celebrate it as part of my wiring even. So that's the short story of me finding my style.
That's lovely. I love that because I love dance also. So I can really relate. I have very little voice in myself, but I appreciate it. So I guess I would think when most artists say they don't like their style, they would try to do something different. So did you try to do something different?
Yeah, I did. For the first 2 years I painted, I was trying to figure out how to paint like other artists. and it just didn't work. I could do it to some degree, but it never would really turn out. And I wasn't really satisfied with it. And I just felt like I was hitting my head against the wall for a couple of years, not enjoying the process. So that's when I decided just to cut that out and just let it happen.
For people that can't see your art right now, is there a way that you would further describe it so that they could picture it?
I paint in fluid acrylic, so it's going to be the smoothest surface imaginable. I use big brushes flat square brushes that hold a lot of paint so that I don't have to go back to my palette often. It is very blended. It has hard edges and soft edges. And I paint in the old master technique with glazes and veils. So it's in thin layers, 3 or 4 layers to create the whole piece. And that's how I get the vibrancy in the color and the depth really with those veils and whatnot. If you're familiar with the technique, it's a really useful way to paint. It totally turned my world upside down as far as how to create a piece. And it's a lot of fun.
And the subject matter?
The subject is, so I do mostly big sky landscapes, but I have gotten into fire and I do large pieces. So 4 foot by 4 foot is one of my favorite sizes. So the huge campfire pieces, landscapes. I'm very well known for prairie landscapes, being in Western Canada and Alberta. What else have I done? I've done some like micro nature pieces, skyscapes. There's lots still that I want to get into though.
Thank you. Do you sell primarily through galleries?
I have, and actually I'm just in transition there. I've been a gallery represented artist for about 11 years or so. And now because Mastrius, my company, is requiring much of my time, which I'm quite delighted with, I'm trying to find a better balance. So I've just left my galleries and I'm going solo, as they say. I've learned a lot about how to build a business as an artist and live off of your income and all of that, thanks to my mentors and whatnot, learning from those who've done it before. And so I feel like I'm at a point where I don't need that support and I prefer to work at my own pace and do my own thing. And I want to give myself a little bit more space to explore other subjects and whatnot. So I am done with galleries for now. Not to say I won't go back, but I'm just going to be selling on my own from my website.
And so the way that you described that, did you feel there was pressure to produce for your galleries?
Yes, most definitely. I've worked with maybe half a dozen or so over the years, and every gallery owner is different. I did get pigeonholed pretty early on, and I knew that was going to happen because once they learn what styles of your work, they want more of that, right? And so when you want to explore different things, some gallery owners are very encouraging with that and some less so. And then there's the pace as well. If you're selling well, they want more artwork. Even if I was doing a show at one of my galleries, that's really intensive prep to get ready for a big show. And then the show would happen and I would think, oh, now I can take some time off. But the pieces that would sell in the show, they would want replacements for right away. And so then I'd say, oh, okay, I guess I'm back to work. So the pace, I found was pretty fast. And I'm looking forward to slowing that down for myself.
You said you were pigeonholed. In what way?
Well, so my very first gallery, they took a look at my website. And at that time I was painting many subjects. So I had little galleries on my website of all the different subjects. And when they looked at my landscape gallery, they found one piece and the owner said, I could sell 10 of those. Can you have 8 big sky landscapes ready in 8 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever it was, and welcome to the gallery. So I was kind of blown away. And then she gave me the focus of the big sky landscape. And so I did it intentionally. I'm like, you know what? I know this is part of building a brand as an artist. The more you hone in, the faster you're recognized and the easier it is to build a name for yourself. So I went for it. But then I got a little bit stuck because I didn't know how to push back. I didn't know how to have those conversations with gallery owners where I got to advocate for myself as an artist, and I need to be able to explore and have creative expression, freedom there. So yeah, I got a little bit stuck, and then I got very bored. And then painting became a lot like work, and the joy got sucked out of the experience for me. And when we built Mastrius, that's one thing that my mentors have got me out of. They've helped me to learn how to advocate for myself as a professional artist. They helped me even to find my growing edges, which is a concept I didn't even know existed. That was Mitchell Albella who introduced that term to me. He helped find my growing edges where I needed to push forward, where there was a bit of inconsistency in my style and my work. And he saw I had some growth potential there. Never would have figured that out on my own. And that kind of freed me up and set me free and let me loose in a direction that I was really excited about.
You have to say more about growing edges.
All right. So, for example, in my work was very flowing. What I wasn't doing, because I found it tricky, I had a lot of skyscape and very little land to my pieces. So it was really dramatic, big skies. And he kept pushing me to do more land because my land, I just found it tricky. I didn't know how to get, because the sky is full of wind and breeze and whatnot. And the land, there's flowing aspects to it, but I just found it challenging. So I just did as little of it as I could. And so he pushed me until I just did like landscape, or like a landscape that was 80% land and 20% sky, and just forced myself to do it. And that helped me to realize how to take the style from the sky into the land to have that consistency. And yeah, the only way to do that was to practice it and force myself to do it. And I'm glad that I did. So yeah, for me, it was this inconsistency between the sky and the land that he had seen I wasn't really exploring very well. And that's something that usually other people see a lot easier than we do.
So when you say growing edges, which I've heard called growth edges or these are opportunities for growth. These are, you're doing fine, but this is how you might get better. This is how you might improve if you could overcome this.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of it's the whole critiques-based learning, if you want to call it that. That's the beauty of working with someone who has more experience than you and a better eye. They just see things really quickly and easily. It can be tricky though, because you have to open yourself up to feedback, right? Which can be hard, but it's so beneficial, especially when you're working with good people who are delicate and caring and tactful and wise. So yeah, it's really about getting feedback on your work. We can stare at our own work day after day after day, right? And struggle and not know what the issue is that we're struggling against. And all it takes is someone to take a quick look and see, oh yeah, it's right there, Julie. How do you not see that?
Yeah. So when did you start working with your own mentors?
Well, the story is that there's a story behind Mastrius, which comes out of my own experience as an artist. When I started out and I taught myself how to paint, I was living in a really great community, very artistic community in downtown Calgary, Alberta. And so I had a lot of great support with artists. We learned together. We did some home shows together. And then as I got gallery representation and started to build my career, I joined some art associations and clubs and whatnot. And I know I'm not the only one who's experienced kind of the competitive nature of the industry and how that can be a little bit uncomfortable between artists. And I got burned a couple times early on, and I'm a highly sensitive, deep feeling person. And so it cut a little bit too deep. And so what I decided to do was just to go solo, just to work from my studio and do it on my own. I didn't need the clubs and associations. I could figure it out. So for 7 years, I did that. And I think it was much to my detriment. I was very isolated and I really didn't know what I was doing as far as even painting goes, because I had never learned a masterful technique. I was just putting paint on canvas. and I never learned really how to build a business properly. So after 7 years, I walked into my art supply store and saw a flyer on the wall to a workshop headed up by a master artist in Western Canada. And I saw his painting and I just was gobsmacked. I thought, wow, there's something he's got that I don't have and I want it. So I had a moment of courage. I pulled out my phone right there. I registered for the workshop and, in a different city. I had to drive all this distance and pay $500 to be in it. Totally put myself out of my comfort zone, being a hermit in my studio to being in a room full of strange artists. But I made a deal with myself. If I did it, I was going to make sure I had a one-on-one conversation with him. I wanted to show my website, just wanted to maybe get some feedback. And I did that. His name is David Ladjevin, and he became my mentor that weekend workshop. He said, Julie, I can see that you're really pursuing your work intentionally. You're serious about it. You're talented. Here's my phone number. Here's my email address. I want to help you get as far as you want to go. And I was stunned. Was not expecting that. That does not happen when you go to a workshop. So that was 7 years ago, and he's still my mentor. He's a very dear friend. We just did a show together at a gallery. That was my last gallery show. And that's how Mastrius was born. Shortly before COVID, my husband and I were starting a business and we were trying to use Zoom to connect people. And then COVID happened. Everyone was using Zoom. It actually killed that business for other reasons. But we had this mentorship model that I knew would work with artists. And so when the one business died, I said, let's do this in my industry. Got to give this a try. And I called up David, my mentor, and asked if he wanted to give it a go. He did. And that was 4 years ago. And now we're in 47 countries, many thousands of artists, over 200 master artist mentors. It's been incredible.
Yeah.
And I forget what your question was.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's totally right.
I do have questions about Mastrius, but I want to go back to your style. You talked about why you feel it is the way it is, and also that you were pigeonholed in your gallery. Did successful sales impact style at all?
Impact my style. It certainly impacted my growth and the direction that I went. I guess it did impact my style in that I still didn't like it, but people loved it and were buying it. And so that was reassuring and edifying for me. It confirmed that I was heading in the right direction. I was sad that my heart was that I wasn't as excited about my work as they were, but I took it as a signal that, okay, it's resonating and I want my art to resonate. So yeah, I guess in that sense, it did. It kind of gave me the courage to pursue a style I wasn't quite comfortable with.
As you have embraced your style and as you have started and are growing this business, how has your definition of success evolved, if at all?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it sure has. So I was raised by an artist. My mom is an artist and she was self-taught and she built a big, beautiful career, was gallery represented, and she did that all on her own. I had no intention of actually becoming an artist. I was a nurse and became a mom. And when my kids started going to school, I literally followed in my mom's footsteps, step by step. I went and bought some paints and canvases and taught myself how to paint and built a career. But the only model of success I had was my mom's, which was self-taught, gallery represented, and selling. And so I never really looked at success a different way until I got into community and all that. And being in relationship with other artists really opened my mind to, oh my goodness, there's many, many different ways to do this journey. There's many different definitions of success. I've met brilliant artists who don't sell and don't want to sell. That's not even on their, they have no intention of it. They want to give it away or they want to keep it. And the gallery representation, maybe, I think it's something that might be, I don't know, going out of style might be the wrong way to put it, but we used to have to rely on galleries to access collectors. And now with social media and us building our own websites. We can do it on our own if we want to. So my definition of success has really widened, which has been very freeing as well, because I no longer feel like, oh, I have to do this. I have to sell. I have to make an income. It has to be something I can live off of. What if I didn't work with galleries? What if I made money off of prints and did fewer originals and expanded my product base? And yeah, so that's been very enlightening and freeing as well, just to broaden those definitions.
Do you think that having success in one area gives you the confidence to change your definition of success?
Probably. I think for me, it was more expanding my network and just hearing from other people. And I don't know that I would have gotten there if I had stayed in my studio. It's really hearing other people's experiences and also being challenged by other people too, because I was also unhappy pursuing success. I was successful, but I wasn't happy, which is so counterintuitive, right? And so it took other people looking into my life too, saying, hey, you're miserable. Shouldn't being an artist be this really life-giving, beautiful thing? And I was like, yeah, you're right. It really should be. Why is this such hard work? So I think the challenge from my peers and whatnot has really helped there too.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking back to the time that you spent, you said 7 years, like alone, a hermit in your studio, and you were unhappy. And did you know what was missing? Did you know that it was connection that you were missing?
No, I didn't. And that's the funny thing. I don't know that I'm very unique there either, because we hear it too a lot in our community that I came for the mentor, and then I discovered connection, support. I found my cheerleaders. I found my people, and that's why I'm staying. So yeah, you don't know how badly you need it, community and connection, until you have it. And then you realize, oh, well, I'll never go without it again. Very well. Yeah. And I certainly won't.
Yeah. Isn't it lovely, the gifts that come along our way when we're not looking for them, but
yes,
but are
exactly.
open to them. Yeah. So you've mentioned Mastrius, and I do want to talk to you briefly about it. How does Mastrius differ from other online learning platforms?
Good question. So Mastrius is all founded on relationships, on interaction, on artists getting what they need when they need it. So it's not like a school where you sign up for courses and workshops and instructors are just downloading all their experience and technique and expertise. It's more of a curated experience where you come with your goals, your learning needs, and our mentors then take all their expertise and knowledge and experience and give you what you need in the moment so that you can reach your next goal. So the growth happens a lot more quickly because of that curation. There's also a lot of feedback, a lot of support. Mentors give us like homework and ideas to practice month over month so that we're able to put into practice what we're learning so that we're ready for the next piece of teaching, instead of it being this big dump of information that we have to sort through on our own. It's this guided experience, which makes all the difference. And then to have people in your court, like our mentors are all very caring, very generous people. And they really do care about each of us as artists and that we're reaching our goals and that we're enjoying the process and enjoying the journey, that this is all a very supportive experience.
So as I understand it, rather than it being a class where there is a specific curriculum to like learn how to do abstract landscapes or something like that, it is more personalized. Well, you say mentoring, which implies that you have a personal relationship with the mentor. Yes?
Right. Yes, that's right.
Okay. And then, so how does that work? Is it I think it's a membership fee. People pay by the month?
Yes, that's right. And you sign up for as long as you want or as short as you want. So some people come for a few months, some people come for a few years. You choose the mentor you want to work with. You can work with more than one. And then it's a monthly rhythm. So it's a small time commitment, high impact sessions, but it doesn't take a ton of time. You can dive in as much as you want. You have the whole month to practice what you're learning. We have weekly events. We have community chats and paint-alongs. We have other courses that can supplement your mentorship. So you can dive in as much as you have time for.
Okay, but it's all for one flat fee.
Yeah. Depending how many mentors you're working
I
for,
see.
Yeah. So if you want to work with 3 mentors, there's a discount for each next mentor you work with. But yeah, the flat fee is per mentor, and then you get all the community perks with that as well.
Okay. What do you want for your members?
I want them to avoid the experiences that I had. I think most of all, I want our members to experience supportive community. I actually want to put to bed the whole competitive nature of the industry, because we've learned, since we're all so uniquely wired and talented, that we really aren't in competition with each other. And so when we come together shoulder to shoulder in a collaborative relationship, we actually do much better. Instead of clamoring over each other, we're running the race side by side, and we just go farther faster, and it's much more enjoyable and life-giving. And so what I want for our members and for artists all over the world is just to experience the kind of the fullness of being an artist, regardless of what their definition of success is. There's just so much more to it. And the relationships are the spice of life. And I think that infuses into our art as well.
That's lovely. And then what about the mentors? How many mentors do you have?
We are global and growing. So we have over 200 or so master artists from around the world, mostly North American. And we're growing steady. So we continue to bring on new mentors because the demand is still it's still growing. We've really only scratched the surface as far as being a global community, although we do have this kind of small town feel because we work in small groups. So it's very tight. But yeah, the need is still out there. So we're still going to grow and grow until we make sure that we get mentorship and community in front of every artist that wants it or needs it.
It's my understanding that after talking with people in your community, that artists are encouraged to move around. The members are encouraged to try new mentors, which totally makes sense. You want to find the one that's right for you. But doesn't that negate the bond that you make to the mentor if they're jumping from mentor to mentor all the time?
Well, they don't jump all the time, but what we do encourage, what happens, which is really lovely, is when you work in a small group with other artists, there's another member in the group called a navigator, and they're a bit of a community curator for the group. So after some time working with one mentor, and that can really range from 6 months to 2 years, that's something that you decide as an individual and as a group, that the group will then decide, you know what, we've spent all this time with this mentor. It's been great. We've had a year with them. Let's move to another mentor and start the process over again. And that's often initiated by the mentor themselves. So the mentor will say, you know what, guys, I've given you all that I've got. We're repeating ourselves, which is fine. I think you're ready to leave the nest. Go find your next mentor. So then the group together chooses their next mentor and moves and starts the process over again. And sometimes they're going to start tackling new subjects, like maybe they want to get into the business side of things. Maybe they want to get into mindset or marketing or whatever. And it's always great to have fresh eyes and new perspectives on your work because every mentor is so unique in and of themselves. So yeah, it's not a quick bouncing around. It's more of the mentor says, okay, it's time for you to leave the nest, and the group then wants to continue on together.
Okay, so I'm really confused because I'm confused that there is a group, but then there's this one-on-one connection. And so how does the group come together in the first place to be under one person? Like if someone new comes on into as a mentor, but then there's all these people that are already there. They found their mentors. How does the new person get a group together?
Yes. So I'll back up. So the mentorship happens in small groups of between 3 and 8 artists. And those groups can stay together as long as they like as a group, or people can come and go as individuals. It's not like a course where once it starts, we close it. Because it's mentorship and more organic, more relational, we leave them open unless it's full with 8, then we will close it. So if there's 6 artists in a group and they've been meeting together for 6 months, a new artist might join and they choose the mentor and they join the session, and the navigator, who's that community curator, welcomes them, gets them comfortable, shows them around the website how to use everything, introduces them to the group and the mentor, and then they just continue on. And so there isn't one-on-one mentorship except what happens within the group setting. And everyone in the group, which is really cool too, is at the same stage. Whether you're an aspiring or emerging or accomplished artist, all the artists in your group will be at the same stage as you, so that what you're learning and the feedback you're getting is relevant to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so important. It really is very important. So kudos for that. So it sounds like at least 3 people at once have to say, I want to work under this mentor in order for that mentor to have a group.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, which is pretty easy to do. And we have a system and everything's automated. And we do a lot of great marketing and whatnot to fill those groups.
Yeah. So why would a mentor, like a lot of my artist clients, have their own mentorships going, their own classes? What is the benefit of them coming to Mastrius rather than doing it on their own?
Good question. I love this one because we do all the work. We set up all the automations. We take care of all the administration, the scheduling, the payments, everything. We have such a sweet platform that our mentors literally click a button. They show up into their session. They always get an assistant called a navigator I mentioned. Whether they're doing a mentorship group or a course, they always have an assistant. We have a chat platform that they can use to connect with their group if they would like. And then everything is automated. So they literally just show up and shine and then go back to painting in their studio. They don't have any of the businessy side administration to do. And then other benefits are when they become a mentor at Mastrius, they also become a member. So they get all the same perks as the members, which include our free weekly events. They can come to events, they can speak at events and be compensated for their time. They can be in the art shows, they can take courses, they can be mentored. There's lots of member perks and discounts that they get access to. And mentors need community as well. So they often come thinking they're just going to come and mentor, and then they find friends. Their navigators often become very good friends of theirs, and they find community as well.
Yeah. That you do all the work aspect of it is, I know, that's why a lot of artists want to be in galleries, because they think they no longer have to do the work, which is not the truth, as you well know. Right. Yeah. So a lot of artists, unfortunately, quit making art when they start teaching and mentoring. And you aren't only teaching and mentoring, because you're a mentor on this platform also, yes?
Yeah.
But you have this business and you are still making art, which I think is so important for every teacher to do. So how do you divide your time between running Mastrius, being a mentor at Mastrius, and making art?
Healthy boundaries, learning to say no. A friend taught me if your answer isn't heck yeah, it ought to be a heck no. So yeah, that's one thing. It's just learning how to manage my time and discipline myself there. One thing that one of our goals with Mastrius is actually to give mentors more time to be in their studio creating and not spending the time on all the extra work that I mentioned before, because it is a lot to set up your own teaching and run that as a side business to your art. But yeah, for myself, I was a full-time artist, and when we started Mastrius, I became maybe half-time, and now I'm full-time Mastrius, but I still have I still have 2 days a week actually that I'm in my studio, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And now that I'm not working with galleries, that time is becoming more life-giving, right? It's a little bit less driven from the outside in. It's more becoming the respite for myself. So my art is becoming more respiteful. Is that the right word?
I'll take it. What
Right.
you mean? It's life
Yeah,
giving is a good way to put it.
it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just balancing. And like Masteries, I don't do alone. We have a team. My husband and I founded it, and everyone knows that it's important for all the artists on the team to be creating. And so we're mindful of that with the team as well. We max out their hours at like 20 a week so that they are forced to be pursuing their art as well. And so I run by some of that principle as well.
So who do you consider to be on your team?
We have, well, we're run like a regular business. We have a customer care team, and we have a marketing team and a mentor care team. I head up the marketing as well. And we have artists called shepherds throughout. We also have about 90 or so navigators on our team, as well as the 200 plus mentors. Yeah, so it's a pretty big team. And what we're building is informed by the team. So I'm an artist, and we have many artists throughout. So we're always building what's needed. We're also always getting feedback, making sure we're doing the right thing at the right time.
Presumably you have non-artists on your team also.
Yeah, for sure. We've got professional mentor or marketers and copywriters and that sort of thing.
Okay. Well, I haven't asked this. You said you have 90 navigators, 200 mentors. How many members do you have right now? And I know it's growing every day.
Yeah, we have about 900 or so members, and we've probably had thousands through in the 4 years that we've been running.
Last question. What are you looking forward to in the upcoming months?
Well, the fall is always busy. We've got an art show coming up in November called Gratitude, which I will be in. And that's a Masteries art show. And I hit that up as well. So that's going to be fun and exciting. Our last art show, we had about 100 artists in. I'm looking forward to.
Is that live or online?
Online.
Okay.
Yeah. For about a week, we run our shows. And then I am looking forward to building out my business on my own. I'm working on my website so I can sell directly from my website, my originals as well. I'm going to launch another 1 or 2 prints, probably in September. What else?
That's enough.
There's always some...
in case you want in case you want my feedback, that's plenty.
Yeah.
And you're running the whole community, which I know how much effort that takes. So it is so fulfilling. It sounds like people are very lucky to have you and to have Mastrius. Julie, thank you so much for being a guest on the Art Biz.
Thank you for having me, Alyson. It's been lovely chatting.
That wraps up this episode of The Art Biz. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you would rather listen than watch, you can find The Art Biz wherever you get your podcasts. And you can learn more about the programs and coaching and consulting that I have to support you in your artist business at artbizsuccess.com. I am grateful to be part of your artist journey.